What would you say about that, Rich, all the stories you've worked on, investigative work that the NYPD and others were doing on this? Comes down to these people at McDonald's kind of having a conversation or however it played out, and then a worker calling the cops. But even I was looking at some of those pictures right away. I don't know if I would have thought that that's the guy in New York, right? A hat on and a mask and everything else. So what do you make of how it all played out?
Connell, I would say a lot of credit needs to be given to the NYPD in this. Like, without them doing the exhaustive work that they spent doing, like I talked to them, they had over a dozen detectives on this, pouring through hundreds of hours of CCTV for days, and they finally found, you know, that one image where he was in the taxi cab that showed us the frontal picture of him, and I think that is everything. Without that picture, I'm not sure anybody recognizes him in a McDonald's in Pennsylvania.
So you thought the cab picture was better than the one where he had the mask down and the, you know, where he was flirting with the girl supposedly, but it was a closer picture. Even he had a mask on in the cab picture, as I remember it, right, Rich?
Yeah, but you could see his eyebrows. It was the first like real distinguishing feature, and when you see those eyebrows, it's like that's him. And so I think a lot of credit goes to the NYPD on this. That they are the best at what they do, and in a matter of days, they found the one shot of this guy and enabled this person in McDonald's in Pennsylvania to be like, I think that might be the guy.
Right.
That's huge.
Because this picture, Tracy, do you see that right now? That's a supposed, I think this is what he had on at McDonald's. Got this hat kind of covering the eyebrows. This is where he had the mask off and was having his breakfast. But there, if you saw that, I mean, I wouldn't know who that is, you know, but somebody did, or somebody had a hunch, right?
So a couple of things I want to say about this. In my opinion, the fact that his hat is covering his eyebrows is actually very telltale to me. I actually think he was watching the media, and there were a lot of comments on the media about his eyebrows, which are distinctive. And I think he was purposely trying to cover those. The one thing I want to say is I totally agree with Rich that NYPD did an excellent job here. But I also want to give a lot of credit to that McDonald's employee. And I really do hope that Altoona police are providing that employee with security. I am very concerned about some of the comments that I have seen on that McDonald's website about this employee. And I really do hope that they have a security around this individual.
I think from what I heard, there was security at the McDonald's today, but you make a good point. Some of the comments in general in this story, just comments online have just been, I mean, disgusting for lack of a better word, but that's one of the big things that I think is going to come out of this story, the way people have reacted to it, reacted to the killer, reacted to someone helping out like that. Now, Rich, in terms of the investigation moving forward from here, so second-degree murder charges, I wonder, and we'll talk about this next hour when we get some legal analysis, if there's any chance that they upgrade that in New York to first degree. But either way, right, you could be put away for the rest of his life.
Yeah, so that could change, as you say. What the NYPD will basically do, they're going to wait for this to play out in Pennsylvania. They will extradite him to New York. Then they will interview him about the murder. They will test the gun for ballistics. And then they will impanel a grand jury, and that's the process. And it's just waiting for him to be extradited out of Pennsylvania.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.